Hello, class of 2019. It's Mr. Dean here from Malaysia. Miss Matamoros told me that you were having the senior breakfast and and said there was a teacher section and wanted to know if I wanted to say something. So of course I wanted to say something. I hear that the breakfast is at night, so I guess it's like pancakes for supper. So that's all still good. She sent me a list of some of the kids, or all of you kids that are going to be there, so that I might be able to address a few of you. But when I looked at the list, there's just so many of you that I'd like to address. I just think I'll address everyone at once. So first of all, congratulations. I'm very excited for you. I'm sure you're excited also. I'm just very proud of all of you. Here, a lot of people, I thought you might want to hear some comparisons, maybe about the kids that are graduating here versus you kids graduating back in the U.S. So I have some. I have some observations from Asia that I thought I might share with you. You know, when I was there, and everybody in America always hears things how China and Asia is so much smarter, and the U.S. test scores are so low. Well, let me tell you something, that's not necessarily the case. Everybody over here is not smart, and they don't all study all the time. It's exactly the same. It's just a normal curve. There is a high end, there is a very big middle, and there is a low end. I have kids that are doing very poorly and they don't ever study, and then I have kids that study all the time. So it's very similar. Your competition is with kids just like you. There are some differences, certainly, cultural differences, certainly, and I think you have in competition, and of course you got to be worried about who you're going to compete with in the next few years, and your competition is over here, but you have some distinct advantages, and those advantages are you have, as a U.S. educated, public educated student, a tremendous advantage in problem solving. You have a tremendous advantage in creative thinking. You have a tremendous advantage in thinking outside the box. That's a skill that really has not been developed in the eastern part of the world. It's very difficult, actually. It's one of the challenges that I've had, is to try to get some of my kids to think outside of this is the right answer. I would say Asia's advantage is pure, brute, rote knowledge. These kids memorize a lot of things, and that's maybe their advantage. But with technology, I really think creative problem solving is far more important than being able to memorize the periodic table, which I will tell you, most of the 8th graders have the periodic table memorized here. So I would say that's their strength, but your strengths are better. Your strengths with creativeness is something that you really can exploit now and in the future. So one of the things that I also have some new perspective on from living over here is some things that are different in this part of the world than from the U.S. And now that you are older, you are going to take on some responsibility on how your culture evolves. So I have some charges for you, and one of those charges is you have to protect public education in the United States. Education here high education here is for the wealthy. You pay for education. It is not a broad stroke education model here in general. The school that I teach at costs a lot of money to come to. The kids here are very wealthy. And just across the street, the country is just decimated in poverty. Education is the gap to try to ease poverty and wealth. It's the wealth gap. It has to be. It is. And models on the eastern side of the world, or models where I am anyway, in lots of models in Asia, it really requires money to get a good education. So there are kids that just have no chance. Public education in the United States has to be protected, and you have to protect that. Some other things that you just take for granted that the other parts of the world don't even know they're missing, I don't think, is you have to protect your air and your water, your environment. Spend money on that. I kid you not, the one thing that I miss the most about living back in Denton is being able to see the sky every day. Living here, so I've been in lots of big cities around here. Singapore, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Kathmandu, any place in Indonesia, India. The air quality is just disgusting, and people don't even know that it's so bad. If I could move the camera around, I would just show you outside. You can hardly see across the street most of the time. Some of that is just large companies who pay off their politicians and just dump smoke in the air. And some of it is burning down the rainforest so that they can plant palm trees, palm oil trees. It's a wide range of things. Oh, and another is there's just cars everywhere that have absolutely no regulation and just puke out gross smoke constantly. It's difficult to breathe here. It's also difficult to drink water here. You have to purchase your water because the water that just is supposed to be natural has just been so contaminated again with corporations who purchase politicians and just dump crud in the water. We live right on the ocean, but if you stepped into the ocean, it would eat off your skin. It's so disgusting. So protect your environment. It's worth it. Another big thing here, of course, Malaysia is a reasonably liberal country when it comes to religion. There's major religions, certainly Muslim, there's a lot of Hindu, and there's some Christian here also. Malaysia is kind of the melting pot of that, but of course this part of the country is heavily Muslim, heavily Hindu. So another charge that you maybe are taking for granted is protect separation of church and state. Government and religion simply should not mix. It's mixed here heavily, and it's not as good, I'll just tell you that. So protect the separation of church and state. Those are my three big things that I have observed here. Protect education, protect your environment, and protect government and church and state separation. So with that, go save the world. It's been my pleasure to say hi one more time. Maybe I'll see you this summer. I am actually moving to Peru. I have a new job in Peru, so my summer in Denton is going to be very short, but maybe we'll see each other again sometime. I'll be in and out of Denton here and there. And if I see you or you see me, certainly say hi. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. And go Wildcats. Once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat.